Welcome to another episode of last week's Comics Today. I don't know what order these are in, so I think we're both going to be surprised, but I'm going to start with a couple of things just to whittle down this pile. So I finally got Sakamoto Days, Volume 10. I have not read this yet. I will do a video on this. And 9, which I think I read back in late November, because this was supposed to be out, and it did come out. It's just... Anyway, I have it, finally. I'll do a video on that as soon as I can. Also, I got Frontiersman, because after reading Antioch, I'm like, why don't I own Frontiersman? It was great. So I grabbed Frontiersman from the local comic shop, and also, in this week, I feel like I pre-ordered this last summer, and it just kept getting delayed. I've got Fafford and the Grey Mouser Omnibus. So this name was on there, and it was recommended by Berg at the comic shop, so I'm like, alright, put me down for one of those. I have not read this one either. We've also got this name down here at the bottom, and, you know, that name, and that name. So, I'll get to this as soon as I can, but I don't know when that's going to be, because I've got other things brewing at the moment. So, at some point, you'll hear about those. Now for the comics themselves, we're going to start, I guess, with Fishflies, issue 4, and things surely happen. The investigation is going somewhere, it's moving along. That's why he's featured prominently. And we have these two decide to go on the run after the events of last issue. But he's not having a great time at work. I mean, look at this question. That's never a good sign. Ugh. Then this happens, right? So she's sitting with her kid, and then creepy woman in a rocking chair shows up with bugs in her mouth and hair and what? Hallucination. Great. And then we have weird symbols in the forest, and so we're years behind on this, but my wife and I recently watched Yellow Jackets season 1, which is great, and I recommend it. But just weird symbols in the forest. I'm having flashbacks already. So it's great. I'll say that it's great, and the story's moving along. I have no idea where this is going. I can't predict, and I'm fine with that. It's nice to be surprised every once in a while, but this is still great. Up next we have Petrol Head issue 3, and I'm a little sad. Something happens to the beautiful car that has been somewhat prominent, but we get other cars that are just gorgeous, and there's that one there too. Just great. But these robots will show up later, and there's a bit of backstory and history as far as they go. We've still got this trifecta of hear, see, and speak. And we get a bit more history on the robot overlord, O. So everything is moving along, but there is this car chase that happens that ends in a splash in the river, which is the sad part that I was talking about, because this gorgeous vehicle. Possibly we won't be seeing that anymore, but there are more cars by the end of this. Look at this. Oh my god. Gorgeous. I like well-drawn cars. But this guy makes an appearance again at the end. I keep it her, so she's turned evil. And that's pretty evil face. So I'm sure somehow there will still be car chases and robots, and it's great and interesting and gorgeous, but I don't know, I'm a little sad that this one won't show up anymore. I guess we'll have new vehicles, but anyway, it's still good. This is at least a 5-issue series. I don't know if issue 5 is the end or not. April solicits should be coming out possibly next week, but it's good. I'm enjoying it, and it's just gorgeous cars. It's just gorgeous. Next up we have Midlife issue 4, and this, I think I've talked about sort of the realism of this before. These characters feel very real, and it feels like Antioch or Frontiersman, since I read Antioch very recently. But it's that sort of it's Invincible style of these characters acting realistically in a super-powered world, and I love it, right? So there's a definite weirdness going on. So this guy has fire-based powers. Everyone else in his family is normal, asterisk, but his friends are great. His wife is amazing. It's just really well written. The art, fantastic. I love it. And they got into some trouble last issue. There's a reason that she's handcuffed to this chair. But it's great. It's recommended. And this is another one. I don't know how long the series is supposed to go on, but I'm loving it. Just loving it. Sacrificers issue 6. I think last issue I spoke about in pretty vague terms. This one I will get into a bit. So, first off, it's amazing. I loved it. Plenty of stuff happens this issue. There's an incredible scene at the end of this, but we have enough information now as far as what is and has been going on, and we get a dramatic confrontation between this guy who represents the sun and this collection of women who represent the moon, and they are discussing, it's mostly him discussing their daughter who has gone missing. That was the events of issue 5, and we see some of the consequences here, and they are not good, by the way. I got to this part, and I had a flashback to The Simpsons and the Great Gorge, Springfield Gorge, and Homer tumbling down, except this is not a comedic moment, because all of this giant pile is all dead people, and that's gross and oof, that's rough. So, back to these two. Things did not go well, and I don't know what the I think I know what the consequences are, and they are not good. But yeah, they fight, and then these two, who hadn't actually met this far, actually find out who each other are. And there's some drama there, and then it ends. I mentioned this amazing scene at the end. So, this series is amazing. It's gorgeous. I love it. There was issue, I think, 4. One of the issues I wasn't the biggest fan of because not that much ultimately happened, and then this hits. And this is the end of the arc, I believe, if you read the... Yeah, he says right there, it's the end of our arc. There's also, Berg pointed out, because I don't ordinarily, I skim these things sometimes, but there is a recipe in here for a tater tot casserole, which I might actually try sometime. But anyway, I'm talking a lot, and I tried to make this short. Sacrifices is amazing. Highly recommended. It might be pick of the week. I guess we'll see. Up next, we have Action Comics 1061. This is the first Jason Aaron, and I skipped the Jason Aaron Off-World Batman thing because I read the preview, and the preview was awful. So I was skeptical of this, but they did put out a preview about a week or two before this came out, and I read that, and I was interested. It's heavy on Bizarro, if you couldn't already tell. But Bizarro using magic, and over the course of this, he winds up casting a spell which has a clear and pretty rough effect on Superman. But the art's gorgeous, the writing is heavy, there's a lot of text boxes and word bubbles. But it's good. Ultimately, it's good. There's this bit of stupidity as far as helicopters. I hate how helicopters are generally portrayed in media. They never address the volume or just like, hey, I'm going to stick my head out this window. Idiots. Anyway, it's heavy on Bizarro, and that makes sense because it's, named after him. So it's good, and I will read the next 2 issues tentatively, but I, at this moment, plan to read those. I'll see if it continues to be well written and done, but the Superman is much better than Jason Aaron's Batman. I'll say that. Adventureman. It has been a while since I've gotten an Adventureman. I don't know why this is subtitled and there's a new issue 1, because this is a continuation of the incomplete story from the main title. So it's, I don't know what they're doing. And literally the first thing I did when I opened this is I went to the back. There's ordinarily a lengthy written piece from Fraction at the back that explains what's going on. There's some behind the scenes stuff. There's none of that this issue. So I was looking forward to finding out what was happening, why the delay, when new Adventureman will be coming, and I still have no answers. Maybe next issue, but not, I'm going to say not great, because silence on a series that has enormous gaps between arcs is not great. The good news is the story's good. The art still amazing. We get a lot of talking in this as well, as far as what's going on and sort of the philosophical world. But it's really good. I will bear the weight between arcs, but I do wish that it were shorter, because it's a fantastic series. I love it. Art's fantastic. Fraction's writing. He's working on the Godzilla series, but I wish he were writing more comics. And maybe that's what the delay is Godzilla. But anyway, this is great. I just wish it came out more often. Sandman, issue 4. And this, I think, shows off some of the skill and the talent of Rossmo. We get a couple of these 2-page spreads, bunch of weird stuff happening, because this kid's head is on fire. Because Sandman has been gassed with his own sleep gas, and he's suffering the consequences. He says for the first time, which I find hard to believe, because a big part of this story is his notebook on all of the gas formulations was stolen. And did you just make gas and then not test it? Did you not? What? I mean, I guess that's for the best, because he made a bunch of gas that's poisonous, and now, so that's in the wild and might have, I mean, it's definitely going to have consequences. But there's this guy who looks like the shadow, not the spirit. And there's a question about who he is, and this happened to his eye last issue. I pointed that out. So he is currently killing the friend/landlord of Dodds, and I had suspected him at one point, and so did Dodds this issue. So it's good to find out that it wasn't him, but it is instead the other suspicious guy, I will say, working for the military. Spoilers. But there's this confrontation, and because there's a window, someone's definitely going out that window, right? Slash. So here, somebody goes out the window, and this is pretty great. Crash. Awesome. I love it. Rossmo is an absolute talent. I wish he did more creator-owned stuff, so that he would get, I mean, working for the big two, you'll get residuals, but I wish for the guy that he had some ownership over some of the gorgeous stuff that he's done. And I don't know, I know he did Rasputin years ago, but he's been working pretty heavily at DC in recent years, and I just wish the guy, once I become a fan of a creator, I'm like, man, go do something creator owned. Just own what you do. Just get away from the big two. And I'm currently wishing for some writer, if he doesn't have his own story, but somebody, pick up Rossmo, give him some creator owned work to do, because he's an absolute talent. The Midnite Show, issue 4, Transformers. This was supposed to come out last week, but there was a delay at the shop. Anyway, I got it this week. I'm going to show you this, because sometimes I do this. The end, question mark. And I'm not going to show off the rest of that panel, but the end, question mark. I think that's a mislead. I've stated that I wished there was more to the series, and I think this is standalone. I don't think it's actually going to continue, but it's great. Somehow they do wrap up 5 monsters running around a small town and a quest for immortality from them. This is a brilliant cover that makes more sense. It will have more meaning if you know the story behind it. But this is great. I loved this series. There will be a trade, because of course there will be. And I will recommend grabbing that once that comes out. But it's just brilliantly done mashup of monsters versus each other. It's great. Loved it. Lastly, there is Transformers issue 4. I mean, this series has been amazing. I've loved it, and I've said those things about a lot this week. There's a lot of good stuff. Transformers is just phenomenal. There is acknowledgement here at the back of the Gundam homage that happened last issue. So, recognition of that. But Optimus is walking around without an arm. The thing that I didn't show off before is Spike was shot. I don't think I showed that. I certainly didn't show it off in my top 5 of 2023. But Optimus brings Spike to a hospital, and then Decepticons show up. We've got this brilliant scene too, where Optimus just runs over Starscream. Amazing. I love it. And then Decepticons show up at the hospital and just wreak havoc. Rumble's there. And Jazz shows up. It's so good. Oh man, it's so good. It's so good. And then more terrible things happen, and then a couple of good things happen, and there's a spoiler that some websites put out early, and they're assholes for doing that. But this is amazing. It's brilliant. I love it. And there's going to be an art change. So Danny Warren Johnson has been doing both writing and art up to this point. There's, I think, issue 6. There's going to be an art change, and I'm okay with that because the artist is Corona, who did The Me You Love in the Dark, which I loved, and he did a couple of other things with Scotty Young, and the guy's great. So no problems there. I don't know that he can draw robots, but I'm looking forward to seeing. So that's everything that I got this week. Transformers is amazing. Adventureman is great, but there's that asterisk. Sacrifice is also brilliant. Yes, Transformers is getting pick of the week. It's amazing. It's just straight up really well done. Highly emotional, and the action is top notch. It's just everything that I want. This is a very long video. I'm probably gonna trim this down somewhere in the editing, but if there's any jarring cuts, it's just because this is such a long video. I talked a long time about these books. I enjoyed all of them. Yes, I enjoyed all of them. Not a stinker in the lot. But this is everything that I got this week. As always, I get my books from a local comic shop. If you don't know where yours is, you can use this URL to find the one closest to you. Thanks for watching. I'm out.